It's 6 p.m. and I call this meeting of the Property Owners Association Board to attention. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
President Sislo,
Present.
Vice President Giarrusso,
Present.
Treasurer Blackwood,
Present.
Secretary Damians, present. Director LaFontaine,
Present.
Director Lee,
Present.
Director Nutting,
Here.
Director Pino,
Present.
Director Strohmeyer,
Present.
Director Tubbs,
Present.
and ex officio Becker.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Pledge of Allegiance, please stand. Madam Secretary, approval of the minutes, please.
Approval of minutes, November 18th, 2024. Minutes were approved by email vote completed on November 21st, 2024.
Thank you. May I have a motion to either approve or amend the meeting agenda, please?
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
I move to have motion 2024-35 removed from this evening's agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second that for discussion. I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, it is time for discussion. What would you like to say, Mr. Director Nutting?
Well, I just want him to present what he's got. Because we can't discuss it unless it's got a second.
Okay, Mr. Stormeyer, do you have anything you want to say about the motion?
No, I do not.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of removing motion 2024-35 from the agenda, please raise your hand. All those in favor. Thank you. All those opposed? Mr. Pino is opposed. The motion passes. We will remove that. The POA board has spent the past month working on ways to trim costs and exploring ways to develop consistent income for the future. As you may know, one plan for assuring income by previous boards was to assure that the bylaws affirm the requirement that property owners must pay dues to support amenities. That plan was known to require legal testing, and the recent court ruling by the court has shown now that that plan will not work. So, one of the costs now that it was eliminated was the cost of legal fees to pursue through the court system the idea that the bylaws provide a permanent requirement for all property owners to pay dues to support amenity. The notice of the board's action to that end was sent out in an e-blast through our Facebook page and posted on the POA web page. But I want to repeat it here as one more method of communicating our action. So I hope I don't bore you all, but the Diamond Head Property Owners Association is confronting a significant challenge that has been on the horizon for years and has been addressed by previous boards with great diligence. A key strategy pursued in the past was integrating the language from the expiring covenants, which obligate property owners to support our amenities, into the Diamond Head Country Club and Property Owners Association bylaws. While this approach was well-intentioned, the board understood it could lead to legal challenges. The hope was favorable legal rulings would secure the organization's long-term stability as the covenants expired. The board, you know, is mandated by its charter to maintain the amenities at the same standard as when they were initially transferred to the Property Owners Association by the Purcell Corporation. After over a decade in the court system, the outcome has not supported this path. Following much thoughtful deliberation and consultation, the current board has decided to not further pursue legal appeals, including the case of Bird and Reese versus Diamond Head Country Clubs Property Owners Association, Inc. Your POA board didn't make this decision lightly. Legal experts had advised us that success in the Mississippi Supreme Court was not guaranteed, and continuing this path might not serve the best interests of our community. So instead, we are shifting focus to explore new solutions to address this challenge. While some properties remain bound by permanent covenants, it is clear that their contributions alone cannot sustain the level of support needed for the community. The board is actively seeking guidance from other property owners associations that have successfully navigated similar situations, learning how to balance expiring covenants, maintain continuity for those that remain, and preserve amenities that make Diamond Head truly a special place. Based on that decision, and I'll finish with the rest of it in a minute, the board is now working on other approaches to finding ways to have income to support our amenities. This work will cause us to spend your dues with that focus in mind. So if you're hoping that we were going to not be able to have any legal fees, that will not be possible. A permanent solution must be found, or we're going to suffer the consequences of inaction that may include the loss of amenities. There have been some responses on social media that have alluded to POA boards making poor decisions, to spending funds incorrectly, and to pursuing legal action inappropriately. However, it is my belief every past board has acted to the best of their ability in the best interest of the organization as they saw it at that time. The challenge of funding the support of amenities requires more than 11 concerned members that we can do, and there are many nuances to consider to doing the right thing. This board will be seeking expert advice. I plan to share many ideas as they become more concrete than just a dream. We can't just share with you dreams. We have to have something that will work. The original message sent earlier went on to say, in the meantime, and I agree with this now, we urge all Property Owners Association to remain committed to supporting our community by paying dues and helping us maintain the amenities that enhance our quality of life. Diamond Head is exceptional because of its safety, vibrant activities, beautiful green spaces, friendly neighbors, and abundant leisure options. These qualities are worth protecting, and ongoing support by all persons in the community, members, if you don't consider yourself a member, you're still a person in the community, is vital to ensuring they remain part of our legacy. This board and future boards will continue to prioritize Diamond Head's long-term strength and success. I hope everyone kind of understands that we have been trying to be as wise as we can with funds, and we're working to spend them the most appropriate way that we can. In addition, I do want to report that in the past month, we have begun the search for a new general manager. It is our belief, the GM Search Committee's belief, that a strong, vital leader is going to be needed to help us figure out this tough path ahead, and we have begun looking at several candidates. Thank you, and I wish you all happy holidays. Can we please now have committee reports? Director Pino?
I am the chairman of the Marina and Airport Committee. On November 21st, the Marina and Airport Committee met. We talked about a number of things. With respect to the marina, there were two things of note. Number one was, I don't know if anyone is aware of this, but there's a city ordinance that says anytime a named storm enters the Gulf, that the ship's store, which is a temporary building, needs to be moved. Well, that's problematic because there was 8 or so named storms this year, and only I think one of them had any effect in this area. So I had we're trying to lessen the effects of that ordinance. So I had a meeting with the city. We had a good conversation about this matter, and we reached an understanding that I think is going to result in less movement of the ship store in these situations. Second item with respect to the marina is that there is some potholes developing in the paved portion of the parking lot. They're getting to be to the point where they need some corrective work. and that work's gonna have to be done fairly soon. We're delaying it just a short while until this board finishes its discussion about budgets and costs and expenses and available monies for 2025. But we'll address it early 2025. With respect to the airport, there was an issue with the fuel pump because it wasn't registering the dispensing of fuel, how much fuel was being dispensed. But there's been parts order that's taken quite some time to get. I think the parts may have just come in, but there's been a workaround by the airport operator so that losses haven't been continuing, but it still needs to be fixed, and that fixing process is underway. All else with the airport is not of consequence. It's nothing notable, and we plan again to meet as needed in 2025.
Thank you. Director Tubbs?
And thank you. The rec committee did meet this month, mostly discussing and working follow-up on the topic that was introduced to the board last month by Dr. Nutt. Pickleball continues to grow in demand. This month, Stuart and myself got out on a Saturday morning to meet the group that tends to be frequent on almost a daily basis, and the passion's there, the demand is there, and so we are eager to bring forward a proposal that will help increase our capacity for this amenity. Had the contractor out this month. They did meet with our facilities folks this past week, and we are anticipating getting a number of options from them, hopefully by Christmas. So unfortunately, we didn't have them for the agenda today. We let the folks know, but we are aggressively working that, and are optimistic that we could have some reasonable options, and that'll allow us to make some sound investment that'll really help us meet the demand for that particular activity. So that's still a work in progress. Also heard a lot from that group about just some day-to-day operational type issues that are kind of no cost and no brainer that could help make their time out at the courts more enjoyable. And so we'll be working with Diane and Matt on implementing those. But do want to take a minute to compliment both Diane and Matt. You know, they've stepped up and taken on additional duties, and they've been both of them have been really good to work with and really good interacting with the rec committee. So we've been very appreciative. Other than that, it's business as usual. It's a quiet season for the polls, of course, so no issues regarding any of our other rec amenities at this point.
Thank you very much. Director Nutting?
I defer.
Thank you. Director LaFontaine?
The House Committee met on Thursday, December the 5th. The Thanksgiving buffet was a huge success. We served over 700 individuals. We did have some safety concerns in the kitchen floor area. These were addressed, and coordinating with the facilities group, they were done in a timely manner. They were corrected. The new menu will be out on January 1st in latitude 30, and the inventory control system will be up and running as scheduled by the end of December. It has also been recommended that we conduct inventories on a weekly basis, which we're going to do.
Thank you. Director Strohmeyer?
The Administration Committee met last Monday, December 9th. We initially started our discussion going over the current financial losses and the status of the current annual dues paid so far going into 2025. We discussed the need for cost reductions for various departments, as well as an overall increase in revenues from those producing revenue departments. We discussed the status and strategy of following liens on amounts due prior to expiration, as well as the option of hiring a temporary employee for a collection phone campaign. We discussed potential upcoming capital expenditures, and with that, right now, it's looking fairly good that we might not have anything serious that we're aware of. We discussed reporting those in arrears, those who have not paid prior to the expiration of the covenants to the credit bureaus. We'll see if that gets some action, gets some people going. We discussed the viability of various POA amenities and ended it by discussing general payroll expenses within the club.
Thank you. Director Lee?
We did not have a meeting this past month due to conflicting schedules, but we'll be meeting again right after the first of the year with the Greens Committee.
Thank you. Dr. Giuliso?
Safety and facilities, same. We had conflict in scheduling, so we'll resume beginning of January.
Thank you. Treasurer Blackwood? Nothing to report. And Mr. Becker?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, thank you all very much. Do we have POA member comments on agenda items? Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped the general manager's report. So sorry. Sorry, Darian, you do have to speak tonight.
Thank you all. Yeah. So, in the month of November, we brought in $790,000 in revenue with $733 in expenses. So it was a positive month, and I would like to point out that the club had a positive month, technically breaking even a little bit over. So right now, year to date, we're at 8.8 million, and with 8.7 expenses.
Before you go on, I'd like to point out that these numbers that we reflect every month and we show in the monthly newsletter do not include depreciation.
That is correct.
And everybody needs to realize that what we're reporting here is not a real financial, it's an interim report
That is
and does
correct.
not include depreciation.
It's a preliminary interim until the audit is complete. But what you get on your monthly financials is the whole picture, but it's still preliminary, like Bill said.
Thank you.
Going on to the collections report. It was a good month for collections. We went to justice court. I think we had 5 cases there, and we won all 5. 1 has paid in full, and we have judgments for the rest. And also, before we went to justice court, we had a lot of them come in. We had 16 come in and make either a payment arrangement or pay it in full. So half paid in full, half got on a payment arrangement. And we have 3 on the docket for next month.
And I would just like to remind everybody again, these are collections on dues unpaid prior to any concern about covenant expiration.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Like Ronnie said, we had a really good month for Thanksgiving. It was very positive. We started with 600 reservations, but like you said, we had over 700 people show up, and it was a very good outcome. We're still trying to grow the marketing and gain new business through social media. And this month we had over 213,000 views on Facebook, and the engagement rate was almost 24%. For December, we currently working on the letter to Santa. We having a good outcome on that as well. Last thing I would like to report on the marketing is the Holiday Light Contest. We had 38 entries, which is the first year and is doing really well. We encourage people to sign up next year, but also still go out and look at all the lights that are up right now. The judges are having a hard time making a decision because they like a lot of them.
Are there any other questions?
Yep.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Now we can go to POA members who would like to comment on agenda items.
No one has signed up for an agenda item.
Thank you. Okay, regular agenda, we have motion 2024-34. Who would like to make that motion?
I'll make that a motion.
Okay, and the motion is to hire a temporary employee for a collections phone campaign. Who
I'll
would like to-
second that.
Okay. Discussion? Mr. Fontaine?
Would we not have individuals in our employment at this time that could do that? We could do it in-house?
We do not. We do not. We've been asking over the last several months. Andrea and Sue have been pursuing it from the outside, looking at collection firms, law firms that specialize in this. Finally, we came to where we are now. If we bring in a collection firm, law firm, we're looking at maybe 50-50 recovery. Could go even higher, less to us, more to those out beaten streets. So spending a minimum wage for one person to come in on the phones and track this down, we think will pay for itself.
Okay.
But no, to answer your original question, we have no one that we can spare in admin.
Yes?
So this person's going to be calling people and say, please pay, or we're going to do something to you, basically. Are they also going to try to encourage them into joining and paying forever? Is this a PR campaign as well as a collection campaign, or just a collection campaign?
I'll comment on that. Currently, we have about $100,000 worth of funds that have been approved by the court system for us to collect, and those people still have not paid us. So that's the first group that we want to go after. Then we have, the number I saw was something like $1.5 million up to $2 million worth of liens on property that are prior to the expiration, and we need to collect that by any means possible. And then we have also have some $300,000 is the number I remember of money that is owed to us for people who have never expired or never do expired. So we have, that's over $2 million, $2.5 million worth of money that is owed to us that we have not collected as an organization, and we need to go after any means possible to try and collect some of that money.
I mean, I'm certainly in favor of it, but do we need something more strong-handed to get the amount of monies we're talking about, rather than just call them on the phone and say pay?
Well, I'm not a collection expert, so I really can't answer that question. I mean, we're trying to find somebody that is a collection expert. We've asked lawyers. We couldn't find anybody that was really interested in taking over our issues. So this is the only means that I can come up with at this point in time to try and collect some of these fees. So, I'm open to any other suggestions.
What were you talking about, Stuart, about a collection agency? Have we tried them, like an official agency that does that for a living?
We have. We've had no luck. We started this back in July, and we've had no luck. The other thing, as far as what we can hold, is for those who refuse, and I would like to think that the person doing the work on the phones will report you to the credit bureau. See if that helps. But we're open for ideas.
Would it be possible to put some sort of limit on this to see what that success would turn out to be? Would this be worth our while? Are you trying to say this is a person for a year, a person for 3 months, a person for...
My understanding when we discussed this was we were looking at bringing somebody in and working them for 3 months and see how we were doing, to see whether or not we are actually collecting any of this money. Because we haven't found any other method that's collected the money.
Sure.
And we'd like to get a professional firm to do that, but we haven't found anybody that's interested in taking over this work.
We're not the right size.
We're not the right size, or nobody wants to go down that road with us at this point in time. And like I said, I am open to any other suggestions.
I would think at those figures we can, not that maybe we haven't shaken the right branch, but how can we not find a company at a $2 million figure, even if they're 50%, to try to bring this in? Just for transparency purposes, do we send letters out every month to these individuals? Or have we had, what do we do to try to collect this?
We send,
So just every quarter?
Statement, and we also do send out letters to, members that we're trying to collect from that had judgment.
And it shows that, I mean, they have a judgment against them. It's not, you know, hey, can you pay this? It's, you're due to pay this.
That's correct.
And then the liens, where would we go with liens? What would that cost, or do we have an idea? Once again, the board knows a lot, but for transparency purposes, I think we have to look at what gets us the best outcome for the POA, whether it be hiring a firm who might be upwards of 50%, or an attorney getting involved and sending certified letters to each individual, see if we could do something on that end. I do think that it's a good idea to have somebody calling, but I know what I do when I see a number that I don't recognize on a personal phone, I'm probably not going to answer. So I don't want it to be us, you know, shooting a long shot when we could have had something that's a little bit more, a more favorable outcome.
Yeah, Trey, the phone calls will be made from the administration offices, so it'll be a Diamond Head Club number that would show.
And I agree with that. I just think if they're not paying, they're really less apt to answer if that's the case. That's just my personal opinion. I think that if we go down, I don't think it's a bad idea, and I just think that in my experience with business, if we hire somebody and it costs this person, say $2,000 a month, $6,000, I can't see a favorable outcome coming to collect $2 million. That's just my
well, like I
experience.
said, we're open for any suggestions. If we want to
Yeah.
table this and come up with a better idea, that's fine. But we have been working on this for over a year, or I have, and we haven't collected the money.
Well, I think now, and I'm just trying to bring everything to light, that maybe it is possible to find out if an attorney can have a blanket letter saying you've already had this judgment against you. How much would it cost per person to say now you have a law firm representing you and go down that avenue? We have attorneys. We have an attorney in-house, and we work hand in hand with an attorney that we hire. Maybe something down that avenue. Not saying that this is the wrong thing, but I just think that this might be a little bit out of somebody making minimum wages league to do that.
Any other discussions?
I was going to ask. No other comments? Okay, then we need to call the question.
Call for a vote.
Yes, we're going to call for a vote. So the motion is to hire a temporary employee for a collections phone campaign. All those in favor? One, two, three, four, five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Trey's the only one not voting. The motion carries. Okay, are there any POA member comments on non-agenda items?
We have three. First, Ernie Knobloch.
Hi, Ernie. I only have my phone to time you, so I'll wave at you.
30 seconds more.
Oh, okay.
I'll let you know that.
I will just try to wave at you.
You recently sent out a letter to property owners alluding to the idea that the POA may have to pay property taxes starting in 2025. I understand why you worded the letter the way you did, but I also think it's worthwhile for residents to understand the overall situation. What I'm going to say is all public knowledge. It's not some hidden thing. Most of it comes from a couple of newspaper articles, but how many people read a newspaper, a physical newspaper today? The POA is and remains in perpetuity a nonprofit organization which runs and maintains an estimated $20 to $30 million worth of amenities for the betterment of all property owners in Diamond Head. About 10 years ago, the assessor estimated that the annual property taxes for the POA, if placed on the tax rolls, would cost Diamond Head residents about $250,000 a year. That's $250,000. In addition, the assessor has publicly said many times that properties in Diamond Head are already assessed a little more to make up for the lack of property taxes paid by the POA. If property taxes are required from the POA, the money goes to the county. And if you know anything about state law, only a very tiny amount, if any, would actually come back to Diamond Head. If the POA has to pay property taxes of several $100,000 a year, Some amenities are going to be closed, sold off, or donated to the city because cities do not pay property taxes. The only thing that's changed is that some courts have ruled that covenants in certain areas have expired and the POA cannot legally require those areas to pay dues. There are several areas where the covenants are in perpetuity. When you cut through all the bull on this whole thing, two things become apparent. One, no one wants property values to decrease. And two, property owners that choose not to pay dues want everybody else to pay dues to keep up their property values. In addition, Elliott Homes, that's Diamond Head Lakes, D.R. Horton, that's the area behind High Point, and the new condos, which are close to the clubhouse, have signed agreements to require their homeowners to become POA members. These three developers realize the value of amenities to everybody in Diamond Head. Basic research shows if amenities start to close, property values are going to be reduced. The amount of the reduction depends on what happens to the property. I suggest you drive to the St. Andrews area in Ocean Springs to see what happens when one very modest golf course closed there after Katrina. 20 years ago with Katrina, and today I seriously doubt that anybody would want to move in that area. If you talk to new residents, many of them will tell you that at least part of the reason they moved here was because of all the amenities. Now here's the key from me. The impetus for this possible change in property taxes, according to the newspaper articles, comes from one individual. That individual is Mario Fiola, who lives on the south side. He was actually the POA president about 15 years ago. My final comment is that if property values decrease because amenities close, everyone ought to know how it got started. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to hear you.
Next up, Andy Warner. That's all we have.
Okay, that's all. Thank you. Our next open board meeting will be Monday, January 20th at 6 p.m. in the City Council chambers. We need to adjourn to executive session. We're continuing to work on legal and financial issues, but we appreciate you joining us. Would someone please make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.